the link that I put in the chat is there. That's for this website. This is a G Suite Learning Center page that walks you right through building a website, and we're just going to walk through that. If you feel like walking through that on your own is a better option for you, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm just going to walk through it sort of step by step with you guys, and if you have questions, you can ask me. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get to our Google Sites. You guys can all see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Excellent. So when I open up a new tab, I actually have visited it recently, so it shows up in my bookmarks here. But the way that I get there is sites.google.com/new. That there's an old Google Sites, legacy Google Sites we'll call it, and then there's a new one. This tutorial is for the new one, so that's where we're going to go. I'll go ahead and copy that link into the chat, so you can use that link as well if you like. This will look familiar for anybody that's used Google Drive or Google Docs. It's just a folder with all the things that you've made, except now it's a folder full of sites instead of docs or sheets or slides or whatever. Make a new site, and just like in Google Drive or Google Docs, down here in the bottom we have a plus sign. We hit this guy to create a new site. And here we are. So here's a new site. Let's make sure we're following along here. So far, so good. Create your site. There are, I should mention there's another way to create a site. You can do it through Google Drive. If you open up your Google Drive and make a new thing, site is an option. Maybe we'll go over that later. I think this is probably the cleaner way to do it. If your intent is to make a site, just go to Sites and make a site. But you can do it through Google Drive. So the first thing this wants us to do is do our naming. Now there are 3 unique names that are going to pop up here that we're going to have to be cognizant of. We have a site document name, we have a site name, and we have a page title. So let's go take a look here. The site document name is sort of the overarching thing that you can see, but nobody else will. So what do I want to call this whole thing? I'm going to call it 33120 test site, or maybe we'll call it session site. That's not something that anybody but you or people that work on this web page are going to see. That's just for you. When I hit enter there, it fills in this. This is the site name. So I can leave it the same as my document title. In fact, in a lot of cases, you'll probably want to do that, but you can change it if you want. These do not have to be the same. So if I want to call this, we'll call this the session site 1. So those don't have to be the same. This is the title of the website itself. This other people will see. So far, so good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Not seeing any chats pop up, so I assume we're doing okay. And the third thing is our page title. Now, by default, this page that we're looking at here is our home page. So effectively what we're doing right now is titling our home page. Whatever you want to see, the first thing that pops up when kids, parents, community members, whatever, when they come to your page, this is what's going to pop up, and you can call that whatever you want. We'll call that the home page for now. You'll notice this comes up a little later, but I'll touch on it now. Anytime I'm typing text, I have a box here that allows me to do some basic formatting on that text. Just like in a Google Doc, I can go with these sort of preset heading options. I can bold it, italicize it, indent it, or center it. I can make this a link if I want to. I could make this text a link to a certain website, like if I wanted this to point to the home page, I could do that. I don't want to do that right now, but I could do that if I wanted to. And that applies to just about any text anywhere on your website. So there's sort of the basic step one. We've got things entered and labeled. 1.3, select a layout. When we go back to our site, these layouts here are, I look at everything in the Google Sites as sort of a modular thing. That's what makes it so easy. If I select the layout, let's try this guy, it puts this module in for me. Now this module is 2 big pictures with text and subtext underneath each one of them. That's all editable, of course, but I could, underneath that, if I want to put one of these modules in, 3 pictures with text. So now I've got both of those in there, and I can just plug any of these in that I want to. It's Legos. It's website Legos is what it is. And we'll talk about how to edit those in just a second. But this is kind of how we set up the basic layout of what's going on our website on any given page. These modules down here, these are also just more modules. I want to put a button in somewhere. I'll have to give it a name. We'll go over those later. But these basic modules are how we set up the format of our site. Good so far?
Yep.
Yes.
Excellent.
Fabulous.
Don says, I have several classes. Do I need more than one homepage? Great question. My recommendation would be no. I think in a perfect world, I think teachers each have their own page. We're going to go over should have their own site. We're going to go over site structure in a minute, and that might be a little bit more applicable to what you're asking, Don. Okay. I think, in my opinion, the best structure is have a different classroom for every class, but have one site for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Shannon says, I think one page with links to different groups. We shall see. That's certainly a good way to do that. When we get into the structure of the website itself, I think this will all make a little bit more sense. Alan says you'll have links on your homepage to all of your classes. Also a great way to do that. Certainly not the only way, but definitely a great way. Great questions. So I'm going to leave that as it is. I put a couple of formatted modules in there. That looks great. I'm not going to mess with them just yet, just showing us how to get those in there. Select the background image, header type, and theme. Okay, well, let's go look at sort of spicing this. Let's zhuzh it up a little bit, as they say. This sort of image here is what's called a header. Just like on a doc, you have a header. You can have a footer on the bottom if you like. We'll get to that later. But you can change a lot of things about this header. As I hover over it, it gives me this here. I can change the header type. Right now it's a banner. I can make it just a title if I want to go minimalist. I can make it a very large banner, or I can make it entire cover, so this is all they're going to see when they open up the page. Of course, you still have this as you scroll down, but you have a couple of options there. So let's stick with just the banner for now. I can change that was the header type, sorry. I can choose the image that goes into the background. Now, that's a lovely little subdued gray image we've got there, but I can upload something from my computer, or I can select an image from their pre-made gallery. A lot of fun stuff in there. I can search by URL. Maybe I want, I don't know, Mario Kart header image.
Okay.
If you have an idea what you're looking for, using the phrase header image is a great way to start finding that stuff. There's a fun one right there. One thing we can do here, instead of saving it to my computer, if I right-click that and copy the image address, like so, when I go back to my site, I can paste that URL right there, and it says, okay, I'll go out on the internet and find that for you. You can also search right here in a Google search bar. It has that for you. Your albums on your Google Photos, got lots of fun stuff there. Anywhere on your Google Drive, there's lots of fun stuff you can do there. But we'll just go with that for now. Seems like fun. And another cool thing it does is it'll adjust it for readability for you. It'll change sort of the white balance and the the photo stuff to make it more readable, which is pretty nice, I think. Any other questions so far? Can you insert classroom pictures without permission from parents? Again, that's probably another SEPA issue for Tyler. I know that when I take pictures in class, I try anything that I plan on sharing, I try not to get student faces in. If I plan on sharing it out to the world, that might be the approach you want to take. Again, definitely a better question for Tyler than me. Shannon's talking over the teacher. As long as you're not throwing paper airplanes, that's just fine, Shannon. Okay, moving on. Theme and the font style. Top right corner, click themes. Let's go find themes. In the top right corner, where's themes? Oh, yes, themes right here. We can change just like you would on a Google Slides presentation, you can change the theme of what you're doing. There's not an awful lot here. I'm sure that you can, at some point, they'll add more of these. This is all the new site builder, so basic stuff over here. But you can, let's go back to simple here. You can change your colors, your color scheme, and you can change your font style. This is the class, and this will apply to all of the text that you do on this page. I think it will propagate down to child pages, which we'll get to in a minute. But there's themes. So questions so far. We'll move on to the next one. That is high school style. Yeah, there you go. Dawn, did that answer your question about pictures?
Yeah, just, I have pictures of kids doing lots of things, and it would be kind of fun to put them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, talk to Tyler about that.
Thank you. I know we have a few that have are listed on our do not let their photos be out there, so I'll find out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now we get into the meat and potatoes of why you might want a website instead of just like a Google Doc or something. And that's nested pages and site navigation. This is, to me, this is the heart of why you'd want a website instead of something else. So let's go to pages here in our web builder. Right now, this is a list of all of the pages in our website. As of right now, I only have one, the home page. I'm going to get into a bit of a metaphor here that I think is kind of great. Inside your home, if you think of your home as a container, you want to look at the nested containers inside your home. And we'll talk about how to make new containers. I'd look at each page as a container for information. So if I create a new page, we're going to call this, well, what are the containers inside the room, inside the house? It's the separate room. So we'll call this the living room. And what I want to do is nest that page inside the home. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to drag it on top of home. Right now, notice the indent level is the same. When I grab it and drag it over, it indents it. So now the living room is inside the home, nested inside the home. That idea of nesting makes sense for everybody?
Yes.
I can nest, I believe on Google Sites, you can nest up to 5 levels deep. And I think that's as far as you can go. But, if you need to nest deeper than 5 levels for a school website, you probably should be using a different tool than this, I guess. I can, inside, there's another way to create pages. I can click on the 3 dots here next to living room. I can add a sub page. And inside my living room, maybe the bookshelf is the container I want to add there. So now I have 2 levels of nesting. I have the home, the living room is nested inside that, the bookshelf is nested inside that. I want to make another page, add a sub page. Under home, we'll call this one kitchen. Notice the indent level is the same as living room. These are sort of the same level in the hierarchy. This guy needs a sub page, probably the cupboards. Let's make one more, and I'll do it this way just to show that you can do it this way as well. We're going to make a new page. We'll call it bedroom. And we'll make a new subpage. We'll call it dresser. Now, the dresser, notice here, is on the same level as the bedroom and the living room and the kitchen. We don't want that. We want to nest it inside bedroom. Maybe one more. We'll go jewelry box. That probably goes inside dresser. So we can nest at more levels. We're good with that nesting?
Yes.
Kristen says subpages relate to individual classes. You certainly could. If that's the way you want to structure your website, absolutely. The benefit of nesting, Linda, is organizational. You could put every bit of information you want out on the home page of your site. You could do that. That gets real messy as the amount of information that you have grows. What would be nice, and in my opinion, the reason to use a website instead of just a Google Doc with all of your information on it is I can split this information out into manageable chunks on each page. I don't want everything on one page. So if I have, like Kristen says, maybe I want to have each class, like I'm an algebra teacher. I want to have my homepage that's all about me and maybe my expectations for this digital classroom that we're running here. What if my contact information, a picture of me, picture of my dog, whatever, I don't know. But then in my sub pages, maybe I want to have algebra. And then nested under that, I'll have algebra first period and algebra fourth period. One of my other pages might be geometry second period, geometry fifth period, and resources for that. I don't know if, and this is where you guys get to decide that. Is that necessary given that you're already going to have a classroom for each of those? If yes, then great. And if not, then you don't need to do that. And in a lot of cases, it might not be necessary to even have a site if your classroom has all the information that you need. Again, there's no one size fits all scenario. So Pratt with stop sign that says leave me alone. I like that. Yeah, there's no one size fits all scenario. So however you guys decide to use the functionality of this, can you link the subtitles to Google Classroom? Yep, 13 classes. That's going to be a lot. Again, conversations about how you use this, you guys get to have those. It's I'm not going to prescribe a right or wrong way to do it. It's a tool. Use it as you see fit. Okay, cracking on. Linda, I don't understand your question about subtitles. Can you ask that again? Maybe not. Well, we'll come back to that. Ask me again, Linda, if you think about it. Okay, setting up site navigation. If you have more than one page, visitors to your site use the navigation menu to jump to different pages. By default, it's at the top of your site in the top right corner. I'm reading a PowerPoint here right now. I get that. So this guy right here, this is our site navigation. It's built in the same way that we've nested it over here. So underneath home, we have living room, kitchen, bedroom. Underneath those, we have the things that are underneath those. And underneath that, it's nested children. So we can access any sort of page we want to get to. There's the jewelry box page. If I want to go to the bedroom page, back up, maybe I want to go to the living room page on the bookshelf. So this is basic navigation. You can do some things to change that up, sort of outside the purview of what we're doing right now, but that's basic navigate. This is what visitors to your site will see. They're not going to see this editing stuff over here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Mr. Bond, yes, I do recommend using Chrome. Firefox will probably work okay. Mozilla Firefox will probably work okay. But as with any Google app, I do recommend Chrome, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Shannon says, can we preview this? Absolutely. Let's go preview this site. So if I come up here and hit this guy, this looks like a laptop with a cell phone in front of it if you're having trouble parsing that little symbol. And there are different ways to preview this. So right now, on a large screen or a computer device, this is what this page is going to look like. Again, I have my navigation over here. Let's go to the living room. We can go just to the home screen. I haven't put anything in these format modules, so that's what that looks like. I can also check and see, what does this look like on a tablet if I load it up on a tablet? What does it look like on a cell phone if I load it up on a cell phone? And all of these modules are sort of pre-built to, that's the advantage of using these modules, is that they're pre-built to look okay on a computer, on a tablet, or on a cell phone. Cool.
So where do you find that box that you just had those little icons?
Yeah, I'll show you. So if I close that out, this is where we're at. This
Right.
guy up here on the top is a
Yes.
preview.
Mhm.
That's where we go.
Okay.
Preview right there. And then this
Oh,
guy
I
on the
see.
bottom. Yep.
Okay. So that
Uh,
automatically comes up when you click on preview,
yes. Yes.
Okay. a little window.
And that'll show me all three previews. And then just to get out of preview mode, we just close that little box.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Cool. Linda says, if I have a subtitle for math, can I link it to Google Classroom for math assignments? You can link anything you want. Anything you want to link from your website, you can. You can link directly to your Google Classrooms. You can, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Yeah, you can link anything you want to almost anything you want. The internet is your friend. Hopefully we'll get to something that answers that question, Linda. And if not, make a note, and I want to make sure I get that answer. Okay, so cracking on. We've got our navigation done. Awesome. Cool. Let's update and personalize some stuff. We'll add some content. So let's go back to our insert tab. I'm back on my home page here. Maybe I don't want to be on the home page. Maybe I want to go to living room. Maybe for you, this is algebra. Maybe for you, this is fourth grade gym. Maybe for you, this is, I don't know. Again, this is your playground to do with as you want. In addition to all of our formatted layouts here, which I can absolutely add on any page if I want to do that, I can also add any number of these little widgets down here. Collapsible text. Maybe I want to have, maybe I want to build a little flashcard game. In what year did Columbus sail the ocean blue? Well, obviously it was in 1492. So I have a little flashcard here. What year did Columbus sail the ocean blue? Well, of course it was 1492. I used this feature for a frequently asked questions page I built a little while ago. I'll let you guys play around with these. Image carousel. Again, we can pick a bunch of images. Do I want to do it that way? I think I want to go. Let's just upload a couple images and see what I've got here. Let's go to pictures. There we go. Yeah, we got some Mario backgrounds. Go for it. Maybe this is useful if, Don, maybe this would be a good place to put some of your classroom pictures, or I don't know, just rocking through some examples here. Another cool, when I want to move stuff around, it gives me some grid lines and gives me a little bit of help in, hey, where's this thing going to be when I let go of it, which is, in my opinion, very nice. There we go. So let's go ahead and preview this, as a matter of fact, see what it looks like. Just like we have on the homepage, the school homepage, I have a little image carousel. I can scroll through those. That's fun. Let's see what that looks like on a cell phone. Same thing. Tap to look through them. Cool. There's lots of widgets. I'm not going to go through all of those. If you'd like me to pick one in particular to go over, we could sure do that. Or we can just move on and you guys can check out the widgets on your own. Anything you'd like to check out in particular? Good. All right. Let's keep cracking on.
Can we look at YouTube real quick?
Yeah, you bet.
Because I use quite a bit of stuff on YouTube for kids, so as a link, because I want to avoid copyright problems.
Yeah.
So stuff that's already out there, if I refer them to that, I don't have to worry about copyright.
Exactly. Great point. Oh, one more thing here that I didn't really touch on before. If I want this formatted box, man, I wish that was below my expandable question. Easy. I grab this little handle right here. It looks almost like I don't know what that looks like, but you can grab that and you can drag it down.
Looks like a ladder.
Ladder. Sure, there you go. And you can put that anywhere you want. You can do that with any module or widget. We can also, we can get into things real crazy if we want. I can change the background of this widget. I can make it, hey, look at me, please. Or I can give it a custom image as well. So you can change the background of any one of your widgets, or you can also copy one. Say, hey, I like this. I want to copy it. And then, there's a copy that I like the format of this. I just want to copy it over and make a new one, just like that. Okay, let's go look at YouTube real quick. I want to hit that. Let's go find a video. I'm going to find a link here. Let's see. You guys get a peek into my YouTube watching. Here we go. Oh, a lot of What's My Line. You ever watch What's My Line? Go watch some of that sometime.
Absolutely. Awesome show.
Oh, great show. So anyway, let's take this guy, a little marble racing, real popular these days. I can click my three dots over here, and that's not what I wanted. I'll just right click on it and copy the link address. I could also click on it and copy the link address from here. That's totally fine too. We'll go back into our site and we'll paste that in, hit the search. There it is, Marbula 1, Razway, and we'll hit that and select. And it embeds it right there for me.
Okay, could you do that again, slow motion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So maybe the best thing to do would be first find the video you want to use.
Right.
So let's go.
Any video is good for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's go. Here's a great video you might want to use. The old marble machine, Don. That I don't know if you've ever seen that, but you might find some interest in that. So I've got my video. I want to copy the link for the video first, and I can find that up here. Copy. And then when I go back into my site, I'll click on YouTube. And I'll paste that in. Hit search. That's the one. Hit select. There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm realizing as I'm doing this, if I click on YouTube, this is an active search bar. So I could certainly type in What's My Line. Look, there you go. That's going to give me a search result. And hey, Eleanor Roosevelt. There you go. Let's put her in there. So you could just search it right there as well. Dorothy Kilgallen, looking lovely as ever. There we go. Other questions on using any of those widgets? So far, so good? Awesome. Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, so that's our widgets. We talked about editing text. Anytime I have text in a web page, I have the option to use this little bar here. The title, the heading presets here are based on the theme of the website. The text is based on the theme. If I want to change that, I can. I just have to do it here in the font style, right? There aren't a ton of options, but it's great that when I change it, it propagates throughout the whole page. It's going to stay consistent. But anytime I'm editing text, I have this little pop-up bar here that's going to let me do whatever I want. Maybe this is going to answer Linda's question from earlier. How do I link to stuff? If I want, let's put a picture in here. We will select an image. Is it going to let me search? Yes, it is. Mac and cheese. Look at all that creamy goodness. Oh man, it's so hard to pick. Let's go with this guy. He looks delectable. Insert him.
Mac and cheese pizza. You passed up mac and cheese pizza.
Did I? Oh, I did. I didn't even see it. It's a sin, and I atone for it. So let's say I want to make this. This is a picture. I want this text to take me somewhere, like to a great mac and cheese recipe or something. I don't know. So let's go. This could also be a link to your Google Classroom. It could be anything you want. This one looks good. Best baked mac and cheese. I want to right click on it, copy the link address, just like I would copy any link address. I could also, maybe I want to copy this Google search result. I can copy that in there if I want to. Any web address you want to use, any URL, link address, you can copy that and hit our hyperlink, insert link right here. And I'll paste it right in there. Then when I hit apply, it underlines it. Let's go ahead and preview this. Let's go to the desktop. Now, this text acts as a hyperlink. I get the hand when I hover over it. I can click on it. It'll take me wherever I told it to take me. Linda, does that answer your question to some degree?
I think so. So will our assignments on like Google Docs, or I'm sorry, Google Classroom have, they'll have a link, like an address to link to? Yeah,
what I would, stick around after this. We'll talk about maybe the best way to do that.
Okay.
It might not be a best practice to link to each assignment on your web page. It might be a best practice to put a link to just the classroom to get kids into that. Are you going to have, like, are you thinking about differentiated assignments for kids that are in the same classroom?
Well, because I'm speech therapy, I have 31 individual kids instead of a classroom of kids. So, I have to do that somewhat.
Okay.
So, or even just having a link, so it would take them just to articulation or something like that.
Yeah, stick around after this, and we'll talk about maybe some options for doing that.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. You bet.
So Jesse,
okay.
I will have to leave at 10 because I have to help with the Chromebooks. So if I need to contact you later, can I do that?
Absolutely. We can hop on another hangout or do whatever we got to do. We can kind of cruise through the rest of this. There's not a whole lot else. A lot of it's just editing stuff. You've got the meat and potatoes of what a website is, Dawn.
Yes.
Everything else is just flavor. It's just zhuzh at this point, personalizing stuff. One other thing we should, let's skip ahead to this. Here we go. Sharing and collaborating, just like a Google Doc, just like a Google Sheet, anything else, you can invite collaborators to work on your site with you. So we're back to our editing. This icon right here, I can share this with others. Another excellent point that I'm glad we got into. When published, this is an access thing. Who can access this? When published, right now, the default for any web page that you make is that anyone at St. Ignatius Schools can find and view your web page. That's not going to cut it if you want parents and community members and other people to be able to see this. So you need to change that. So I'm going to change that to anyone can find and view the published version. This guy. That means,
So my comment about that, I was talking to Tyler yesterday, and he mentioned that maybe we don't necessarily want just anybody to be able to view it.
correct. And again, that's going to depend entirely on the content of your page. For something that's only for students, that's perfect. Anyone at St. Ignatius Schools can find and publish the version. That means only people with a St. Ignatius Schools sign-in, login, can find and view this published content.
Okay.
If it's something that you want to be able to communicate to parents, then you want this one. If it's something that you want only certain...
Which one for parents?
For parents, grandparents, like if it's hey, here's all our if it's an art class and here's all our completed projects for people to look at, you want grandparents and cousins and neighbors and nephews and things to be able to see that. You want anyone can find and view because they're not going to have St. Ignatius Schools logins.
Okay.
But if it's just for students, this one is your best bet. Anyone at St. Ignatius Schools can find and view the published version. If it's very specific and you only want certain people to have access, then you want this one. That's a pretty small use case. I can't think of a lot of good reasons to do that over like just a shared document or something. So for me, for this page, I'm going to say anyone can find and view. Again, good point. SEPA laws. Be careful of what you put on a page that anyone can find. Other than that, talk to Tyler about the law, I guess. So I'm going to save that right there. And if I want to invite people to edit things, I can do that just like I would in a Google Doc or a Google Slides presentation or a Google Sheet. Maybe Mr. Bond wants to be an editor on this with me as well. And I'll just go ahead and say, congratulations. There you go, Mr. Bond. You now have access to edit this page as well. I can, if I want, prevent editors from publishing, changing access, and adding new people. I trust Mr. Bond, so I'm not going to check that box. But if I wanted other people to be able to edit the page without publishing it, changing the access to it, or adding new people, I could make that choice too.
So let's say that I'm in Google Classroom and I am doing a GoToMeet with kids. There's no way that they can add other kids or other people. Is that correct? Without, I mean, I don't know. Can they do that or not? Without permission?
In a meeting?
Yes.
I'm not certain how the permissions on that work, and you're not the first person to ask that question. That Matt and I are going to have to talk about that. But that's a good question, but a question for another forum, I think.
Because I know that on Zoom, kids can invite other people to attend, but I think on Google Classroom, I don't think they can because you have to sign in.
Classroom, no. Classroom, they can't invite. You need to have the code to get into a classroom. You have to have that code. As far as a hangout or a meet like this, good question. We haven't quite nailed that down yet.
Okay.
Let's get right through this. That was sharing, preview and publish. We talked about preview already, so that's done, and publish. So let's go over here. Up to this point, nobody can see what we've been working on, except at this point, myself and Mr. Bond. So nobody else can see it until I publish the page. When I hit publish, I have the option to change just the last part of the URL, this website. It defaults to whatever the name is, but you can change that if you want. As long as it's available, and it'll check it, give you a check mark if it is, this will be the URL for the page. I can change the last part anytime I want. It's worth pointing out that I can only change that URL if I have more than one page on my website. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can also change at this point who can view my site. I set it to anyone, but I can change that. I can request public search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo and Ask Jeeves, whatever. I can request that they don't display my site in their search results. Maybe that's something you want. I want, people with the link to be able to find this, but I don't want people on Google finding my page. If that's what you want, you can check that box, and then we'll go ahead and publish it. It has been successfully published.
Once you publish it, then it's out there. Where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it is. I will.
At that website you just created, right?
It's exactly right. It's at that website I just made, and anybody with this link, which I'm going to copy into the chat right now, anybody with that link can get there. There is nowhere currently on the internet. There are no internet web pages anywhere that have that link currently there because I just invented it. So if I want people to be able to get there, I either need to email them that link, post that in my classroom, put a link to it on another existing page, which we can do. What I'd like to do is if a lot of teachers make their own pages, I want to put a section over here in the St. Ignatius page. In fact, the existing place right here. It would be great if I could click on, Dalton Delaney's name and go right to his webpage that he built.
Mhm.
That would be great. If I could click on Mr. Bond's name and go right to the webpage that he just built, I think that's a good place for that. It's not the only place, but that's certainly an option that we can do. And I'll talk to Matt about that. But to me, that's the right way to do that. Shannon says, could you make your page open to public, then within it create a room with student-only info? Good question. So are the permissions global? The question you're asking is, are the permissions global? I believe they are. There are website builders that allow you to do that differently, that allow you to do what you're saying, Shannon. This one, I think it's global. Whatever you set as permissions for your site, anything on your site is that same level of permission. There are ways around that using the widgets. If there's content that you only want certain people to see, you can do that. If anybody really wants to do that, we can talk about that. Stick around. But in general, I think a best practice would be whatever permission level you intend for your site to be, keep all your content, just be conscious of your content. Whatever you put on there is going to be at the same level of permission so that the same people are going to be able to see it all. I think that's a good rule of thumb for what we're doing here, and also might help inform what you're going to put on that website in the first place. One of the things that we've talked about already, and you guys are going to struggle with, is what content do I want to put on the website? What content do I want to put in my Google Classroom? What content do I just want to use in Hangouts? That's a battle we're all going to fight, I think, and that's going to be, you guys are going to build the best practices on that as we do it, I think. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So Jesse, if I'm working on a Google site and it's not finished and I don't have time to get it done in one setting, how do I save it so I can come back and work on it?
Great question. So if you don't finish this, I'm going to go ahead and unpublish this. So it's no longer on a server anywhere. It's no longer visible to anybody, even if they have the link. If it just like a Google Doc or a Google Slides presentation or Google Sheets, I'm not done with this, no problem. It's saved. It's automatically saved. I close my window. It's gone. It lives forever in the Google Sites. I'll go back to Google Sites here. Here are my sites that I've built. This one right here is unpublished, but it's there. As soon as I'm ready to go back and finish, Just click on that. It'll load it back up for me, and I can work on it some more, publish it when I'm ready,
Perfect. Thanks.
just like a Google Doc.
Thank you.
Yep. That's pretty much it, gang.
It's great.
Um,
Thank you so much, Jesse.
You're very welcome. If anybody has any other questions, or I don't have anything to do right now anyway, so if you got more questions or things you want to talk about, fire away.
I wasn't clear on how to connect, make the link connect to the staff portraits on the website.
Right. That's something that right now that Matt's going to have to do.
Okay, gotcha.
Basically, if you've built your site, it looks good, you're happy with what you got. Basically, what we'll do at that point is copy that published link and just email it to Matt and say, "Hey, could you put this on my
Gotcha.
teacher page?" And he'll take care of that.
Perfect.
He's given me access to a lot of things, but editing the school homepage is not one of them yet. So
Gotcha.
I don't have the power wand for that just yet. Well, let's see who all we had in here. Well, we had a pretty good crew there. I'll run this session again either this afternoon or actually probably tomorrow. I'd like to do a classroom session this afternoon. If any of you guys have ideas for sessions that you'd like to see somebody do, shoot me an email or let me know. We can put that together. I just don't want anybody to feel like they're drowning. That's pretty much it. We want to make sure anything you guys want to do, you know how to do or can figure out how to do.
So we're passing out all the stuff today from 10 to 1. So can we do it like at 2 o'clock or after 2?
Absolutely. The middle school, I think the middle school team is going to meet at 2 today. I'd like to be a part of that.
Or tomorrow, anytime is good.
Yeah, I think tomorrow would be a good time.
Okay.
Is there any session you'd like? Would you like a classroom session?
Classroom sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'll do then.
I have a question on that because I was, I kind of came upon this project looking at Classroom and the Google Sites as kind of being redundant, at least for PE.
Sure, and it might well be.
And so I really want to attend your Classroom one to see if I need to maybe go that direction instead.
Yeah.
I like what I'm doing on the website. I like what I've got. And I think that it'll serve for what I've got anyways, because I just break down the pages by grade.
Yeah.
So they click on their grade appropriate button and it takes them right to their assignment.
Yeah. I think the primary difference between Classroom and Sites, as far as you're concerned, is going to be students handing in work or not. If as a teacher you want students to be able to easily, if you want to be able to easily exchange digital stuff with students, Classroom is going to be a necessity. If your idea is providing support material for kids that aren't necessarily going to be giving anything digitally back to you, then Sites might be your best bet.
Okay, I'll definitely look at Classroom in that regard. Yeah. Right now, I'm just doing quizzes and stuff with health, but that's going to get old really fast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, more pages on more questions on specific permissions. I'm gonna look into that, Alan and Shannon and anybody else that asked. That's a good question, and I don't know the answer right now, so I'm gonna go find out.